it that makes us so unique at Howard Hanna? Many of you would say that it's our tools and our programs and all the things that differentiate us in every market. And I wholeheartedly agree with that. But I'd also say first and foremost that it's our people. It's all of you that work tirelessly to build our reputation in each market that we're in and build that sense of community that we have created through collaborating and sharing best practices through opportunities like today's town hall. So I wanted to thank not only our panelists today for making time to share their pearls of wisdom with you, but I also wanted to thank all of you in the Hanna family for your daily contributions. And I'm talking about helping a new agent with fine-tuning their open house skills, or sharing in your sales meeting strategies to keep deals together. You're our difference makers and what makes us so special. So thank you to all of you. Now, when it comes to programs and platforms, I don't think the industry has any other brokerage that offers such a diverse menu to their sales associates and brokers. From our money back guarantee to our core service partnerships and our business generation suite of programs like Open to Close, Spacio, Real Scout, Moxie Engage, there's really something for everyone at Howard Hanna. It's a true a la carte menu that's right at your fingertips as an agent. So let's jump into things now and get to know our panelists who are here to talk and share their wisdom about their favorite programs that they've incorporated into their business and how it's made their life easier, how it's made their business more productive, and how it's made their business more profitable. So it is my pleasure to introduce these amazing women on our panel today. So I'm going to start with Miss Lou Ryan. She is from our Howard Hanna Collier, Pennsylvania office. Lou's been in real estate for almost 30 years, which is the same amount of time that I've been in the industry, and she's consistently been a top producer. She's a graduate of Pitt in sales and marketing, and she's leveraged that marketing background to take her efforts and her campaigns and her social to a whole new level. If you haven't connected with Lou on social yet, you need to friend her today. So Lou, give everybody a quick hi.
Hello, everyone.
And next we have Mary Strimple from our Howard Hanna Aurora, Ohio office. Mary's been a very best of the best agent, which is the top 1% of all agents in the company for the last 10 years. And she has the distinction of selling more homes in her primary market than any other agent since 2011. That's incredible, Mary. Welcome. Give everybody a quick hi.
Hey, everyone.
Thanks. And then we have Jenny Barber with us, who is from our Durham, North Carolina, Allen Tate office. Jenny's been a broker for the last 15 years and works with a team of agents in her market. Prior to entering real estate, Jenny had a solid corporate executive career and is a native to the Durham area, which is really unique because so many people choose to relocate to that market, but she's actually a native. So thanks for being with us, Jenny. Give a quick shout out to everyone.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks. And Marsha Cronin is with us from our Howard Hanna downtown Norfolk, Virginia office. And Marsha has been licensed for almost 4 years now and has a passion for helping others discover all that Norfolk has to offer. Talk about an area where a lot of people are moving in and moving out. Marsha, Norfolk is that place. And prior to entering real estate, Marsha owned her own communications firm and definitely leverages that skill set to attract clients and grow her business. So Marsha, please say hello to everyone.
Good morning. Great to be here. Thanks.
I'm so jealous of you all with those Southern accents. They're just so friendly. So we are going to jump right in this morning. And we're going to start talking about, let's talk first about kind of what I alluded to in the beginning, which is our network. The network that we have, the family of companies, our core service partners in mortgage, title, and insurance. Jenny, you said that the family of companies has really been an asset to you and your business. Tell us all more about the value of that partnership.
Well, really about having the partners that you can rely on that will get that contract to the closing table with the least amount of stress. And we have such a great relationship with our family of company partners, and they're our go-tos without a doubt, because it's very important to have somebody on your team that can stay on task, communicates well, and gets everything done in a timely manner, professionally, and delivers the highest level of service.
Yes, most definitely. Least amount of stress for you and your clients is critical. I mean, think about it. Buying and selling a home is one of life's biggest stressors. And so we're dealing with people with a lot of emotions, and having those partners to really stay on top of those deals and have someone to connect to expedite things, or when you hit an obstacle, brainstorm to help you figure out another strategy is just so valuable. Lou, you said that one of our mortgage products, that buy before you sell program that we have, really opened up some opportunities for your clients. Can you tell us more about that?
Sure. This morning, I'm going to try to do this as compactly and quickly as I can and talk a little bit about buy before you sell. Human beings we are habit machines. We like to do things the same way all the time. Buy before you sell is a really easy program, and I've used it for a long time. I have kind of an advantage because my husband works for Hanna Financial. So mortgages, we talk a lot about, and I try to utilize the products, and I try to use Hanna Financial really pretty much for every one of my deals. So buy before you sell is exactly what it says. It's buy this house before you sell your house. It's really a bridge loan, which is great, but it's easy to work with. And I'd say about 25% of the customers that I served so far this year have used buy before you sell. I'm going to tell you 3 things that are important, and I'm going to try to really crystallize this so it's easy for you to understand. The 3 things are flexibility, financial freedom, and fear. So flexibility, the buy before you sell allows your buyer, no matter what price range they're in, to have a choice of what they want to do. They have no idea they have this choice when you walk into their house. They're not sure how they want to do this. They're not sure about the equity in their house. That's why you're there. They want to talk to you about what they want to do. This is all about a listing appointment. So flexibility of figuring out what works for them. And the next one is talking about financial freedom. So buy before you sell gives them the financial freedom to be able to go out and buy something before they sell their house or pull the equity from their house. This year has been a really unusual year for buy before you sell, because often with our prices raising so much, people had equity in their house they didn't even realize they had until you were there as their representative to show them what they could do with the equity that's in their house. And finally, I talk about fear. Often you go into someone's house and they're really afraid of what's happening. They want to sell their house, they want to move on, but they're afraid they don't have enough equity, or it's not going to work, or the timing is going to be bad. And how am I going to sell this house before I move on to another house? What's going to happen? This allows them to have that. It gives them 3 months before they even have to make a payment. And as my husband told me before I walked out the door today, remember, it's an interest-only payment that starts it. So they have to qualify correctly, and that's not that difficult, particularly if you're working closely with a Hanna person. And then you, as the real estate agent, have the opportunity to control the deal. You're selling them something else. You're selling their property. You know what's happening on all the fronts. You're able to set up the closings, because the buy before you sell closing has to happen before their purchase. And this year, I don't know how many times that house closed right before we closed on the next one, and they had very little money out with the buy before you sell. It's a real advantage to be able to use it. And I think, we're creatures of habit. We're used to doing it one way. Try to look at it a different way. You're just there to help the client get to the next step.
Lou, what you said is so impactful, because if you think about the last 20 months in real estate and what happened, I mean, look at how that product, that program, that partnership with Hanna Financial empowered your clients. If you would have written an offer that was contingent upon you selling your home with this lack of inventory, you would have been kicked to the curb faster than, anything. And so you empowered them to find a home, secure a home, and then have the confidence to put their home up for sale and not stress and worry and lose out on those multiple offers. So that was amazing that you opened up so many opportunities through that program and your partnership with Hanna Financial.
Remember, it's not just the people that want the comfort. It's sometimes people that just want to deal with that equity and use that equity in their house, to be able to buy the next house, but would rather do it in their own timing. So setting them up for success is what you're doing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And in showing them real estate in a different way than they've ever experienced it before. That's amazing. So Mary, I know you shared a story with us and reminded me of a story of how our barrister's title partner just really helped you through and navigate through some tough transactions. And so share a little more with the group about that.
Well, my office is very well aware of this story. When I was a new agent in 2006, I believe, there was a title company that absconded with the seller's proceeds. I had gotten my commission check, and it was New Year's Eve day, and I got a phone call from the seller saying that they took their check to the bank and there was insufficient funds. And now, mind you, I'm a new agent, and I called my manager, Dottie Dupuy, who I've never known to be silent about anything. And when I told her, she didn't have anything to say. Her jaw dropped. So long story short, it was very traumatic for me. And Fred Horsey and Leah Gibbons at the time, who was legal counsel, right?
You're working in the legal department then.
Yeah, I don't know another way to say it. They just wrapped their arms around me and really supported me through that. And I can honestly tell you that I wouldn't be sitting here today because, that pretty much almost did me in. But with the support of Leah and Fred and Dottie, I can't speak enough to the cohesive relationships that we have in this company. And we really do take care of each other. And, like I said, that was a very trying time. And our core services really helped to smooth that over. And in the end, it worked out. I believe insurance covered it. And, so it really speaks to the fact that we're there for each other.
And the fact that type of a thing would never happen when you're working with our title partners in the market and Barristers of Ohio. I mean, I've had, let me just tell you, the rabbits we've pulled out of hats. We've closed on properties and delivered keys when our wires haven't come in because we know what's on the line for you, the agent, and our buyers and our sellers. And we've done that. And it's just such a comfort to have that in your back pocket and have that confidence in transactions. So I think that network, the core service partnerships that we have, and the products that we're able to offer to our clients are really unmatched. Kate, I know you said you saw some stuff in the chat. Did you want to?
Yeah, I have a question that popped up. I think this was for Lou, so I apologize. I was a little late on stopping this, but we have a question that says, how do you provide proof of funds with buy before you sell? Oh, Lou, I think you're muted.
Proof of funds, if you have a cash deal going on, you can't, that's buy before you sell isn't for them. It's just not going to be a product that they're going to use. Because if they own their house free and clear and they have proof of funds of X amount of dollars, you can't really do it that way. You have to do it, they have to take that bridge loan out of their house. So, and what they're buying doesn't need the proof. It's completely separate deal if it's a proof of funds. This has more to do with mortgaging than it has to do with.
You're going in with a pre-approval from Howard Hanna Mortgage or Hanna Financial when you're going in and writing that offer for your client that's used that buy before you sell product.
Right. The buy before you sell product really doesn't have anything to do with proof of funds.
So I'm going to open this question up to the whole panel because when you talk about one of our biggest differentiators, when I first heard about the money back guarantee, as a marketing person, that's my background, I thought, what the heck? What do you mean we're going to buy back that house if somebody's not happy? So our money back guarantee program, buying back the house if the buyer is not 100% satisfied with that property is a game changer. It's a drop mic type of product. How has that provided you with a business advantage in the marketplace? I just want to open it up to the panel.
Well, none of us want to talk about that, but Mary will.
Mary, jump on in.
Well, I think it's a great listing tool. It's a market differentiator. It gives the seller the confidence in knowing that if a buyer chooses to take on that insurance policy, that Howard Hanna will buy that house back from them regardless of reason. And it's like none other. There's not another real estate company that offers something like that. So, I mean, personally, I've never had a buyer or been involved in a transaction where a buyer's taken it, but it's really a great opportunity if a buyer feels like they're going to need it to, pay that insurance policy. And you always tell the seller, this doesn't cost you anything. This is a great marketing tool that doesn't cost you a dime.
I think it's
I'll tell you
emotional
what.
support. Is that what you're talking about, Leah? It's the
Yeah.
emotional support of having it.
It is. And you know what? I've had buyers in the market debating on which property they wanted to choose. And they've actually selected one that had the money back guarantee because they were, new to town and not sure if this is where they wanted to be. And that was a huge advantage for them. And gave them that peace of mind. Now think about it. By the time you go through the process of getting your offer accepted, having the inspection, having the appraisal, you usually have a lot more peace of mind. But in the beginning, when you're trying to decide between house A and house B, or do you really want to make a commitment to purchasing, or should you continue to survey the market and learn more, it can help expedite things and give people that peace of mind. So I think it is really, it's fabulous to tell a seller that it's something that they can have to differentiate their home from others on the market, and that it doesn't cost them anything. And then it's also that peace of mind and emotional support factor for buyers for sure.
I think in the chat, Kate, I was going to help you out. It says, is it just the buyer who pays for the money back guarantee? And it is. It's just the buyer who pays for it.
Yes, absolutely. It's the buyer. The buyer pays the premium for the money back guarantee.
There's also another question that someone's asking, and I think I know, Leah, you have an answer for this one, but has anyone ever had a buyer that's used it?
I haven't.
I know of buyers that have used it. I haven't personally had one, but I know of people that have used it.
I think it's definitely a great marketing, sorry.
No, that's okay. You're right, Kate. It is a great marketing advantage. And I do know buyers that have used it and people that have opted for it. And then right before closing, they've decided not to move forward, like I said, because they have more peace of mind. But yes, it's definitely something that's out there and utilized. And if you don't have it on your listings, you want it on your listings because a lot of buyers need that extra assurance for sure. So let's jump into something a little sexier. Let's talk about some of the marketing and social media things that we have. So Jenny, you have used Moxie Presents in your business. Can you tell us a little bit more about how that's been an asset for you?
Sure. Well, it's such a great professional presentation, and I use it two ways. So I have a template that I call my pre-listing packet. So it may not necessarily have a lot of data relevant to that particular listing, but it gives a lot of great information about Allen Tate and Howard Hanna and our network and the strength of our brands. And I will actually print the PDF version. It's not super long or large, but I will put that together and deliver that ahead of time as a pre-listing packet. And so that's also a good conversation starter when we meet, that, to see if they had any questions. And then it does allow us to spend the majority of our time talking about their home, talking about what they love about it, talking about how we give them maximum exposure and marketing. And so I take my iPad with me and I do that presentation there on the iPad. And we can create custom pages, which I love. So our team has created some custom pages that show how we do a custom website, what our full motion video walkthrough looks like, what our team's value proposition is. And it is really powerful in how you present that information. And then with the market analysis and being able to show details of either competing properties or properties that have sold, say, within the last 30, 60, 90 days, and to show all that detail, all of the pictures, and then they can see how does their home compare, and really give them a sense of hopefully where they know they should position their home in the marketplace. It has such great data depending on the personality type of the seller. If someone's very data driven, there's charts and there's graphs that some people really love and can really dig into. And then those that more visual, to be able to showcase what's your listing going to look like online, how are we going to present it, and then to be able to email that after the meeting, so that they can spend as much time as they want reviewing all of that information. And I love how we can see when something's been opened and something's been viewed. That's a really, kind of telling bit of information as far as how interested the client is and maybe how well received it was.
So whether it's Moxie Presents or Hanna Presentations in your market, it's a roadmap for your listing appointment. It's got real-time data, and it allows you to not only take the company branded pieces, but to layer in your own personal customized pieces so that you can make that presentation to each seller and clue in on what it is that's most important for them. And you don't want to sit there and necessarily go through every little item with clients, but you can key in on the things that are the most important to them and leave that information for them as well. I think, Mary, you said you stage it that it's proprietary information, and that, it really helps you secure that listing agreement when you're there at that appointment.
It does. I use it for every single thing. I think it's great. And like Jenny said, the custom pages, I have a custom comprehensive marketing plan that I uploaded into that as well. And when I go with everything. I go with the presentation, I go with the listing packet. I'm ready to sign up a listing. And, I think, like I told you, 80% plus of the time I'll walk away with the listing. But if I don't, and, they're intent on interviewing other agents, I like to leave that packet of information with them, but I say to them, I'm going to leave this here. When you are finished with your interview process, I would like to come back and collect this should you choose a different agent, because it gives me the opportunity to possibly connect with them one last time and see what, why they maybe went with someone else. And it's a learning opportunity for me. I can't say that I've ever actually secured a listing after that if they've chosen to go on with someone else. Sometimes I'm back in after 6 months and they'll come back to me. But I do say it's proprietary information, and I'm leaving it with you. And if I would like to come back and pick it up. So it just gives me that one last touch with that client.
And it sure beats the agent who doesn't have the resources with something like that to go in with a smile and a CMA is not going to cut it today. Clients expect so much.
And when you go back and you can say, well, yeah, I wish you the best of luck. Always be kind and be gracious. And, I hope I can sell the home for you. And like I said, a lot of times it doesn't sell with a discount broker, and then they will end up, a lot of times that's what it ends up being. It's a discount broker. Let's face it. They're looking at the bottom line. But a lot of times they do come back after the listing expires with that person.
Yeah. And unfortunately, that time on the market costs them so much more than if they would have went with us right from the get-go.
Absolutely.
So one thing that our marketing department puts out is a weekly email called Enhance that has so many different things that we can share. You can share blog posts, and it tells you what assets are going on for right now. And if it's National Ice Cream Day, it's got something for that. Marcia, having your own communications firm in your past life before you became a real estate agent, how do you like to leverage these different marketing tools and some of the different social things that we have and postcards and things that are available?
I'll start out with sort of true confessions. I entered this career later in life, as you can probably tell, since I've only been in it 4 years. And there was a day I came out of training and I ran into our recruiter in the hall, and she says, "How's it going, Marcia?" And I just burst into tears. I just burst into tears. I'm like, I am so overwhelmed by this technology. And our trainers, to their credit, they would tell us over and over, if you're a boomer, you're not younger than millennial or whatever, technology is not your native language. And so it has taken me a while, although I used technology in my previous business, it was kind of limited programs. And I always was kind of an early adapter to what I needed to learn. But it's not my native language. And so that's my true confession for the day. But I knew that entering this at a later stage in life, I needed to learn what I could learn to be competitive with all the younger agents and with everybody out there who has technology at their fingertips. So I've tried, and with varying degrees of success, but I do use the enhanced mails to post usually on Facebook. I have an Instagram account, which I use occasionally and have posted things from there. It is, as my broker likes to say, it is, pushing the easy button. It's there for you. I've gotten better responses sometimes to the generic things, just feel good quotes, or, not real estate specific all the time, but something that people connect with. So I've used that. I've used, I don't know how far you want me to go with technology. I always send the postcards. I use the quantum digital postcards that we can send out. I look at the neighborhood each time. If it's a neighborhood that I feel like I have good prospects in, I usually will up it from the sort of the standard 49 that, we get to, and that may not be true in every market, but I will add to it and pay for some extra if it's a market that I think could be strong for me. If it's not, sometimes I always do at least the minimum. And I have gotten two out of the blue contacts, listing interviews. One of them was successful. One of them, they decided they didn't want to list yet. But, and that's just, that's the easy button. Do you want me to talk about Moxie yet and all of the other?
You know what? I think we'll save that because you have some great stories to tell about that platform. I love that
I will say I also use the from Engage. They have postcards too that if you're using Engage and you close your transaction, you can email postcards, and I always do that to my sphere. And I don't know that I've gotten business from that yet, but I'd say every time I send them out, I get half a dozen or so comments from people I know saying, "Oh, glad things are going well," or "Great house," and it just keeps me top of mind through that technology.
Well, and I love it. And the goal of our marketing is to engage our audience, whether that's digital, whether that is on social, whether that is printed, regardless of what your medium or your vehicle is. That's really the goal. And I love that you talked about our Hanna Postcards Plus, because to have a whole library of postcards at your fingertips that you can hit the easy button, I love that, and send out. Direct mail is still the most cost-effective way that you can market yourself. And when you're marketing in a neighborhood where you just got a listing, it's chances are you're going to pick up another listing in that neighborhood as well. Mary, you just shared a story about that yesterday, that you get responses from those postcards and you're adamant about sending those out.
Every single time. And I had sent one out last week, and I had an email Labor Day. I had an email from someone that got a postcard and said, I'd like to talk with you about, the value of my home. So I went last night, and I believe that he's not ready yet, but, I think he's going to list with us. So, again, it works. It's all about keeping yourself top of mind, and it's very cost effective to do that. And Marcia, I up mine all the time. Like, I just always do 75. Here it's 50, but I always do 75. I just make that a habit, and, I have it all set up. So all I do is when that email comes, your quantum order is ready to go, I just hit the button and it's done. You don't think about it.
Yeah, I love that. Anything that can be automated and taken off of our plate makes things easier. Lou, you said you leverage that social library of our graphics. You're a social maven. I've been stalking your social. I love it. And because really, the goal is for people to see your personality. When they see your face on a sign or your face in an ad or in a business card, they really don't get to know your personality. They get to know your personality through your social, through your videos, through meeting you in person and your messages. And you've really been able to differentiate yourself. So how has the things that marketing has generated and those graphics, how has that made your life easier and allowed you to expand your marketing?
It is really pretty easy. They send you the marketing information. I mean, you're getting it. So just use it. It's not that difficult. This isn't like, it's not rocket science. I always say that. So the email comes to you and it says, would you like to A, B, C? Do you want to put it on Instagram? Do you want to put it on Facebook? What do you want to do? Hit yes and utilize what they're giving you to use. Along with all the other things that I like to do, which is I like to do educational videos. I like to do things that show my personality and put those on Facebook. That's just one of the things I do. I always use the Howard Hanna tools that I have. And I put those things on because they're there and available to us. We don't have time to make all the mistakes you could potentially make. We have to learn from other people's. So learn from my mistakes. For a long time, I wasn't using them. I was just trying to do all the posting myself and try to figure it out and try to find the graphics and try to do things. It kind of was a time suck. So when the Howard Hanna stuff came through and they just started posting it as they sent it to me, it's really been an additional thing. It's an additional layer that's showing people. And again, when you're using social media, you're just showing people that you're open for business. I'm open for business. So here's what's happening. We don't have any more yellow pages. I'm really showing my age. Yellow pages don't exist anymore. But what you do is you put that post on Instagram, you put that post on Facebook, you do a little video, you talk a little bit about things, and you utilize all of the products that we have. I know it's mind numbing because there's so many products and you think to yourself, I can't potentially learn how to use all these products. I can't, there's just so much. So just sort of layer them in as you see. Just talking to the panel yesterday, we all had a little pre-meeting before we got together for this one. I learned a bunch of things, which was really helpful to me to go back and say, oh, Leah said to do this. Jenny said this, Mary said this, Marcia said this. And I took some notes yesterday and I have kind of like delved into all of the aspects of things that I'm not using. So all of us can't potentially use all the things 100%, but there are so many of them available. You need to take the time to learn a few of them and actually utilize them.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. We do have, like I said, this a la carte menu of everything. And if I have a criticism of us, it's that we have so much that people can get overwhelmed. And Marcia, when you told your story about how you were overwhelmed, I can totally relate. Especially as adult learners, it's hard for us to always keep up with everything that's going on. So what the company really has tried to do is put themselves in the shoes of the agent. What is going to make your life easier by coming up with those social graphics that you can put out in messages you can share, in articles you can share, and postcard library. So you don't have to go down that rabbit hole of trying to recreate the wheel. I mean, you could sit down and try to write a postcard or try to write your own article, and it could take you hours and hours. And guess what? As salespeople, that's hours and hours you're not making money. So you want to be out there listing and selling and connecting with your audience. And so we have really tried to hit the easy button and so that you can just have things at your fingertips. I mean, boosting, now we're boosting all of our listings, and that came out of agents saying, listen, I want to cast a wider net, and my postcards are great, but I want to cast a wider net and target people in a certain area. So we're constantly adding more things to that a la carte menu. So don't ever be like I was and get paralyzed by all the things that we have. Just think, this is how I work, and this is what would make my work easier. Or this is one new thing I want to learn and incorporate. Like, let's go back to when COVID first changed the dynamic of our real estate world and the landscape of our life, really. One thing that was introduced was Earnest, which is an app that allows people to transfer their earnest money electronically. So they didn't have to go into the bank that was closed to initiate a wire. And it was a huge time saver. And I know some of you have used that Earnest app, and it really simplifies the transaction. But that was something that we just came up because it was a circumstance thing. We thought, hey, we need to find a solution for our agents and help these transactions continue to move forward so our clients aren't struggling with some of the aspects of their transaction. Anyone who want to chime in about Earnest?
Leah, I would love to. I find that my younger clients, first-time home buyers and whatnot, they love it. They're so used to Venmo and all the, easy transfers, but also in our area, it's particularly good because we do have a lot of military clients, and they may not even be here when they're putting earnest money down. I've sold a couple properties completely virtually, and others that, they're not here at certain stages, or a relative is here, but they're not. And it's so easy and so handy. And I haven't had anyone question the $15, I think it is, for the transfer. It's cheaper than a wire.
Yeah, it is. And it's easy to teach yourself. I mean, I was managing an office when the app came out, and I put it on my phone, walked it through, showed agents how to do it. And I thought, wow, that was really easy.
And I love that your clients don't have to download it. You just send them the invitation and it's done. It's not something they have to sign in and create a password and all that. It's easy.
Yeah.
And secure. I would also add that, contractually, that earnest money is due ASAP, right then and there at the meeting of the minds. And a lot of times, I don't have my checkbook, or I don't, well, here you go. Here's your invitation. You can redeem this and we're done. And then you can send that to every party involved in the transaction, gets the receipt of that earnest money being redeemed.
Yeah, ask a 28-year-old where their checkbook is. Good
No,
luck with
They don't
that.
have a check. They don't even know what that is.
Right. I mean, seriously, I'll never forget. I was showing a house, and I had my daughter who was like 6 at the time, and we walked into a house and she said, "What's that?" And I said, "That's a telephone," because it was the wall mounted telephone with the rotary dial. And she said, "How do you use it?" I said, "You put your finger in it and spin it." So sometimes it's good to have that old school ability. But for today's day and age, people they're not used to checkbooks and things like that. And that complicates things. And that gives people time to pause and cool off. We want to keep that transaction moving and everybody engaged. So let's get to what I think is I think many agents' big apprehension for using, but many agents' best business solution that they've implemented in their business. And that's our business generation suite of Open to Close and Spacio, Real Scout, Engage, and Buy Side. And really, though, the connectivity of those programs and how they've been a game changer for us. Jenny, you said that you have gotten great response from your sphere, from neighborhood news and listing alerts and campaigns. Can you tell us a little bit more about how that's really helped you stay top of mind with your clients?
Sure. So whenever certainly when I close a buyer, the first thing I do is I do enroll them in neighborhood news. Obviously they have a new house. They're going to want to know what's happening, but also everyone in my database, to be able to send them a monthly report on activity in their neighborhood. Everybody wants to know what their house is worth and what their neighbor's house sold for. And that is, it satisfies a lot of curiosity. It keeps me top of mind. And then also I will send the just sold email to my group. And I typically I'll get an email, not from everyone, but I'll get an email back saying, "Hey, congratulations on the sale. That's a great looking house. Hope you're well." And again, it is all about staying top of mind, and being able to set all of that up very easily with Engage is, it's very seamless. It's a very intuitive program. I've been using it since it launched here within the Allen Tate companies. And it's also, I'm participating in, ninja selling. I'm a big proponent of that, and it's
Stay in the flow.
It's a very ninja friendly. It lets you stay in the flow very easily. And I pretty much start my day with opening up Engage, looking at the calendar, because I will try to gather as much information about as a client as I can. What's their birthday? What's their wedding anniversary? What's their kids' birthdays? Think anything date related that I can plug into the calendar. And then I'll look at the calendar at least, a week in advance, say, okay, I'm going to send a birthday card. I'm going to send an anniversary card. Those kinds of things. And so it makes it very easy to stay in the flow with clients and just, touch them and love on them and, provide that, level of care and concern that, really ties them to you.
And I love the fact, for those of you not using our Engage CRM, the whole goal of it is set it and forget it. You go in, you set your things up, you set your people up, you set your campaigns up and your alerts, and you forget it, but your clients don't forget you, because it's going out, it's keeping you top of mind, in the flow, engaged with them. And that dashboard of who haven't I connected with recently allows you to make those personal touches in those phone calls and send those notes and cards. And it's just such a dynamic system that has so many benefits. Lou, I love that you told me that you used a different CRM and then you started to incorporate Engage into your business and you were using them simultaneously, and you really found that Engage was a time saver for you. Talk more about that.
Well, in years past, CRM, we called it contact record management. It's now customer relationship management. So many years ago, a CRM was how you kept your contacts together. So Top Producer had one years ago. Obviously, Top Producer costs every month, and I used it for many years. I switched from Top Producer to Buffini. Buffini has a really good CRM, or so I thought at the time. So then Engage came out a few years ago, and in my panic to make sure that this CRM would work for me, that Engage would work for me, I kept both Buffini and Engage running simultaneously. Now you have to realize that, all of us have that change. We don't want things to change. We want things, our habits, we're creatures of habit. I was used to using it. So I was running both of the CRMs simultaneously to see what would happen, which is great until you start thinking about how much work that is. And the work that I realized was on the CRM I was paying for, not on Engage, because I didn't have the ability to download the leads immediately into CRM. Everything was coming to me immediately into the CRM. Your goals, your closings, your sales. And in any other product, I was inputting that to make sure I had all the information in there all the time. So yes, I did run it for a while simultaneously, not anymore, but it gave me an opportunity to see all that Engage can do for us. And I really still have things to learn. I don't use the neighborhood news. I haven't until I talked to the group here and I said, I'm foolish not to use it. So every seminar we have, every panel discussion we have, everything you go to sometimes gives you that just little thing that sends you to the next level. So don't learn from my mistake. Just use Engage. Don't use the CRMs that cost you money because there's no reason to.
Yeah, and cost you time with all that input of everything. The connectivity of our products is what's so amazing. Lou, your videos, you could take that neighborhood news and read a neighborhood news on your videos on social, and that would be great. People would think you were a real estate genius.
If anybody wants, Kate mentioned during COVID that I did a video. So if anybody knows, Love Actually, I did a video during COVID. If you want to go to my YouTube channel and watch it, it's pretty funny. So
I have to shout out Lou Ryan's bloopers. Those are that is my favorite thing you've ever done. I think it just shows such a great personality on social media. So if you have 9,000 followers after this, because everyone wants to see your bloopers, I apologize.
Terrific. That's fine.
So that connectivity aspect of our platform starts with open to close or Spacio, depending on your market, on what we call it. But it really is, it's that when you meet someone at an open house and you have them register in your open to close, whether that's in your iPad or you're using the QR code and they're scanning it, which was something we started doing a lot of during COVID, or you're doing a virtual open house and they're using that as your registration. That database that's created then puts people into a search in Real Scout that is based on that area where the property is and the price range where the property is, and then they automatically get put into your Engage CRM. So the first time that you meet them, they're into your whole platform all the way across. And that data from the traffic at the open houses feeds into our buy side to give us real-time data to use with our sellers when we're on our listing appointments. Marcia, you had a great story about how your open houses really were feeding your business and getting people into that platform of products helped you stay connected. Tell us more about that.
Sure. They really are. Open to close and Real Scout have really worked well for me. I decided early on that I loved open houses and I was going to do at least one almost every weekend. And of course I didn't have listings, but agents in my office were great about letting me hold them open for them. So I was at a small little house in Norfolk one day and this young couple walked in and they looked around a while and they actually stayed a little while and talked to me. And he said, this house isn't really what I'm looking for. And I'm not moving here yet. I'm probably moving here with the Navy in a couple of years. And I'm like, oh, okay. I didn't think any more about him, but he went automatically into Real Scout and had a search set up in that neighborhood in that price range. And I'd say it was about a year and a half, 2 years later, he called me out of the blue and had to remind me who he was and where we met. But he had been getting my, listings through Real Scout that were similar to what he'd looked at that whole time. And he says, I'm moving. I want you to help me find a house. And turns out he ended up needing a house, not even in Norfolk. We realized he was going to Newport News Shipbuilding. He had very specific needs. He wanted to have a house on the waterfront in Hampton near where he was going to be working. I showed him 6 houses. He chose one. And it was the biggest sale I'd made to that point. And I had done nothing to really find him except sign him up through that open house. And I want to say that it's happened several times. I look back after I think it was my first 2 years in business, and about a third, I'd say at least a third of my business had probably come through open houses and Real Scout, and most of them were through Real Scout. I only had my first sale at an open house this summer where someone came into an open house and said, I want to make an offer today. Most of the time it takes time, and you're sending them things, you're touching base occasionally. I will, if I see people have been looking pretty actively through those Real Scout reports, you get, I might reach out to them and say, hey, I thought of you when I saw this house. Are you still looking, or would you like to see this? And pretty often they respond, not every time. Just a similar story is recently I had sold a house in my neighborhood to a woman that I'd met again at an open house, and had set her up, and she called me, and we found her house about 2 years ago. She called me about 2 months ago and said, now my dad's moving to the area. Can you help him and set him up with a search? And so now we're looking for him. I think it's a great tool. It does feed on into Engage. And then I set them up in, I'll set them up in a group where they get an automated campaign. I'll set them up for the neighborhood news. It's a great thing where I don't have to do the work, but it clearly has yielded results in my business.
Well, and that Real Scout was what was dripping on your clients and turning them into clients and nurturing that relationship. And here's what I don't like. When you get something from an MLS and it's like, click this link to see the properties, that's not engaging. When it seems like it's a personal note from you and they're saying, I thought you'd really like this. And then when the format is very similar to what we experience on social, do you like this? Do you heart this? Do you want to see the property? Do you this? It's the same context we're used to in so many other applications. It's friendlier, people like it. And I mean, that turned those connections you made at an open house into clients. And you didn't have to do it. It was a virtual assistant behind the scenes doing it for you.
Leah, I would say if people aren't familiar with it, you can also go in and create a new search for that person. You don't have to use the automated search. And if I have time to talk with people at an open house, I'll take some notes. And when I get back to the office Monday or whatever, I will modify the search to be more, to have their actual budget or their actual interest, which may be a lot broader than the one where the open house is focusing. They may want, all of one side of town or whatever, but it's done. If you don't do that, they're still getting that drip campaign. If you want to, take it up a notch, it's easy to do.
For sure. And I mean, I really think I love open to close Spacio. I love that you can use the QR code. When we started doing things virtually, I had seminars and things, buyer seminars, seller seminars, career seminars, all these things virtually that I had. And I was able to use that as a way to engage people, have them connect, enter through my database. But the other cool feature about it is this broadcast feature. So say you listed a property, you can go back to everybody that you've met with at other opens, and you can reach out to them and cultivate those relationships and say, hey, I have a great new listing coming up you might be interested in. That's when you sit down with the seller and you tell them you have your own network of recent buyers that are in the market, in addition to your past clients, in addition to your sphere and network in your office and with the other Howard Hanna offices. And then, you take all of that together. That's pretty powerful when you're sitting across from a seller, when you're using that buy side report and you're showing a seller, this is where the buyers are right now in the market. Here's where they're shopping for. Here's what they want. Here's how many are in this price range versus this price range. That empowers our clients to make the best decisions and shows them that you are the partner to get that job done of selling the house. When you show it to the buyers and you say, hey, buyer, look at how many buyers you're competing with right now. And it's a lot. So we need to make your offer stand out. I mean, it really allows you as the agent to be in control of the transaction. And that's something that I think in the last 10 years, I've really seen people struggle with the abundance of information that's out there for clients. And I feel this puts us back in the driver's seat and allows us to take control. Anyone have other comments? Yes, Miss Kate.
I saw something in the chat. And I wanted to make sure that everyone was aware of this. So someone asked if they could use a QR code from another agent to get those individuals into their Engage from an open house. And I just wanted to make everyone aware, you can actually add another agent's listing to your dashboard and open to close, and they would go automatically into your Engage. So when at the top, there's a very easy tech tip on it. I think it's maybe like 4 minutes on Hanna University, where if I'm holding one of Marsha's listings open, I just go ahead and put in that MLS number from howardhanna.com, and it's going to populate on my dashboard. So you don't have to worry about trying to take their QR code for their listing. You can add it. The second
you
thing
want
I
to create
wanted to
your own
mention,
database.
Yeah, sorry. I have so many things now because you brought up so many great points, Leah. The second thing I wanted to mention, Leah had said about the broadcast message. So let's say that like Jenny had an open house last year and this price range in this house or whatever, and the house sold really quick, and that property has since been archived on her open to close. It will hold all of that in the archived file of your open to close. So if Jenny's like, I wish I didn't lose that listing, or I wish it didn't sell because now it's off my dashboard, I would love to reach out to everyone that came to that open house last year. Well, you can do that. It will save it. So when you are in open to close, you can view all of your archived properties. That is every single property that you've had an open house, and it will show those leads and the people that came back in. So you can actually go back and say, hey, I know it's been a while. You came to this property. Are you still looking? Can I have another similar property coming up. So please use that broadcast message feature. I mean, it will save them indefinitely as far as I know. So I just wanted to add that too, Leah.
Thank you, Kate. I love that. And this is what this is all about, is sharing our strategies on how can you leverage this better? How can you work easier and smarter? How can you put a different twist on something that you're doing? Or how can you find a solution for an obstacle that you have right now in your business? So I love all of the wisdom that you have brought forth today, ladies. What else do you feel we need to share with the group? What other thing do you want to just drive home and really open people up to?
I would like to say on the Moxie Engage, I'm visual. I'm very visual. And so if I put in, this is my goal for 2021, and I can look on that goals tab and I can see where I am, percent effective, for lack of a better term, to my goal. And just to have it at a glance, all on one page, to me helps keep me focused. And if you put all of your transactions in to Engage, and you put the data in, MLS is going to populate it when it closes already with the closed price. And it's a really good visual. So I find that very helpful as far as tracking my progress.
I agree. It's a great motivator. I'm visual as well. And I like to see getting closer to that goal. I like to see that I'm moving in the right direction.
You know what, Leah, I would also add that the technology that we have is fantastic. I mean, it really is. It's second to none. But we can't let it take place of the personal contact. And, I think that sometimes we can forget that. But, like Jenny said, she sends cards and notes. I do the same thing. I think that it's really important. I think people like to see a handwritten note. They like to get a phone call. The technology is great to guide us, but if we can't lose sight of that personal connection, because that's really what drives our business.
That's right. And don't forget, you can go into the Bop Shop and order yourself some nice Howard Hanna note cards. And don't forget, when you're driving by, like in the springtime, and someone's just redone their yard and beautiful plantings, send them a note. Tell them how you love their pride of ownership, and how that makes things so much easier in your job to sell the value of a neighborhood when you get to take them past homes like that. When someone redoes a house, or they've, put a new property up, take the time to write those notes, because we don't get junk mail anymore, guys. It's all in our email. Mm-hmm. So when you get a handwritten note, boy, it's nice. I got one the other night and it made my day. And so don't forget about that, Mary. You're absolutely right. The picking up the phone, all of the tech stuff works in the background to keep you in the flow and stay connected. But the personal touch, the text messages, the phone calls, the handwritten notes, the sending little videos and things like that, that's what differentiates you. So it's a great combination.
What's really fun to do is they like to send you after pictures when they've done a renovation. So often I go to the before picture and I put the before and the after picture together for them and I post it. And it really they just love the fact that you remembered them, you remember their house. And then so I always tell people when we close, hey, when you get that XYZ done that you're going to do, send me a picture of it. And then I'll post that with their before and their after and say they're loving their house. Things are going great.
I love that, Lou. And that is such a personal touch. And when you're tagging them in that post mm-hmm. and they're seeing that and all their friends are seeing that, I mean, that's a feeling that you get mm-hmm. and it's a feeling you have after the transaction. And so when they see your name pop up in a an email or something, it brings them back to that feeling. And that's what you really want to do to create those customer relationships for life.
The final thing that's really important is when someone posts something and they add you and they talk about you, you know, Lou Ryan was my realtor. Always, always, always go in and comment. And not just thank you. Go in and say, you had a beautiful brick house that I loved putting you into. Put the address in, do something that makes it come up for your SEO, for your search engine optimization, because then they find you along with that. So just don't say smiley face, thanks. Say something that's vital in your comments in Instagram and in Facebook, because then it develops, it builds. And also for the rest of the realtors out there, I don't know if any of you do this, but I have a Google search with my name. So that anytime anybody posts anything that has to do with me, my Google search tells me, here's what's happening, you know, whether it's in a blog, whether it's on Facebook or whatever it is, I get to see where that information is coming that attaches my name.
That's a great tip. Yeah, because it pings you and lets you know when you're out there. And, you know, don't forget about the people that refer the business to you. When you have that past buyer and sell and they refer business to you, I love seeing either a video or a picture and the tagging of, gee, I wanted to thank Susie Smith for referring the Ryans to me because they were a wonderful family. I've loved helping them find their new home and I wish them all the best. All of a sudden, you are exposed to so many different people. So don't forget those little tips and tidbits because they make such a difference. Anyone else have anything else that they'd like to share?
I can just conclude with a nice story. I was at a walkthrough right before this. And it's an older man who's been renting, and then his rent was going way up and he decided he'd like to try to buy. It took him a little while to get qualified, and he called while I was doing opportunity time one day. And he says, I've finally been qualified. And at this point, he was very frustrated because it'd been about a 4-month process. I met with him, I think, within a couple days. He wasn't available that day, but we met a couple days later at his church, which was his comfort zone. You know, he was nervous, and he has a little bit of a disability that we were working with, a physical disability that we were working around. But through our early meetings, he kept expressing frustration with his lender and the information they'd given him or not given him. And, you know, he hasn't seen a real person, and he wanted to see a real person. He enjoyed seeing me. He was, you know, he's a real person, people person. So I said, well, try talking to our lender here at Town Mortgage. So he came in within a couple days and met with Stephanie and Town Mortgage, and she qualified him, got him a better deal. That's, you know, it was a better deal. And I'd say within a couple weeks, he just kept emailing both Stephanie and I and saying, I feel so much better. I feel like I'm part of the team now. I'm not stressed. And he's also working with barristers for his closing, and he's included them in his team that has reduced his stress. He will close this afternoon. I hope everything goes smoothly. I have no reason to think it won't, because he is part of a good team. And you know, it's so wonderful. We went and did the walkthrough with him and his service dog, and he is just so ecstatic. So I'm grateful to be part of this great team.
I love that feel-good story. We started talking today about how it's the people at Howard Hanna that are the Hanna advantage. And I thank all of you amazing women on our panel today. And I want you all to remember, everyone in Hanna Land, remember, we have this big menu of offerings. You don't have to master everything. Think about your business, talk to your manager, talk to your regional. What is going to make your business easier? What is going to work and complement the way you do your business? What's one new thing that you can introduce? And remember that the biggest asset is all of you, and you're sharing and collaborating. And I thank you. You are the true Hanna advantage. Kate, thank you for hosting this for us today. And you can tell I'm passionate about Howard Hanna, and I am in awe of my new best friends on the panel today.
Leah, I wanted to just make a little blurb for next month. So next month is a great webinar as well. We'd love to invite all of you back again on October 8th. We're going to learn about the Hanna Health and Wealth. So always the second Friday of the month. Please keep that in mind. And hopefully we see you in a month. Thanks again to these panelists and Leah. It was awesome.
Thanks, everybody. Make it a great day.
Bye.